So, Assistant Attorney General Clark, many people think of the Department of Justice as being about courts and litigation. And of course, the Department of Justice, DOJ for short, covers a lot, both in and outside of court. So can you talk to us about what kind of work is happening at the Department of Justice now to support inclusive and non-discriminatory school environments? And are there any particular resources that school leaders and parents and educators and students should be aware of?
Sure. Well, sadly, it does have a lot to do with courts and litigation. But sadly, this is a moment where we're incredibly busy at the Justice Department. This is an important moment for us to reaffirm our commitment to doing everything in our power, using every tool that we have available to stand up to the horrific discrimination and harassment that we know too many LGBTQ people face in our country right now. So some examples. In Vermont, we recently secured a settlement involving students at a middle and high school who were subject to peer harassment and subject to derogatory language that focused on their race, their sex, and their sexual orientation. Black and LGBTQ students who were subject to taunts and harassment. And our settlement here requires that the school put in place new policies to protect all students going forward. In Indiana, we recently did some work to protect a school's decision to require employees to use the names and pronouns that matched the identities of transgender students. So here the school sought to do the right thing, and they were facing resistance from the district, and so we stood up for this school doing the right thing. In Florida, we are standing up for a student who wanted to use a bathroom consistent with their gender identity. In West Virginia, we are doing work to protect a transgender 11-year-old girl who wants to run on her cross-country and track team. The principal indicated that it would be confusing to allow her to do so. So we're filing a statement of interest to protect that student. And even teachers. We recently got involved in a matter in New England where a teacher was engaged in LGBTQ advocacy to stand up for students and faced a hostile work environment, lost a curriculum position that she was assigned to. So at every level, we are focused on protecting students, parents, teachers. But I just want to say a brief word about the other battlefront, and that has to do with access to gender-affirming care for transgender children. And sadly, we're seeing states all across the country right now that are adopting laws that restrict or ban access to gender-affirming care. We're finding states that are criminalizing access to gender-affirming care, and we're getting involved in a number of those cases, Alabama, Arkansas. But let me round out this dismal story with a recent victory just last night in Arkansas, where a federal court issued an 80-page ruling striking down Act 626. And the ruling is breathtaking and really great. It relies on scientific and medical evidence, facts that conclude that gender-affirming care improves mental health and well-being. And we also had a victory last week in Indiana as well. So a lot of bad stuff happening, but I hope that people will draw hope from the way in which we are vigorously rolling up our sleeves and fighting back.